Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. We're continuing our read through for the first time for me. Never read it before. Robert Jordan's The Wheel of Time, Book 1, The Eye of the World. We're up to Chapter 9, The Tellings of the Wheel. And we begin with a dream that Rand has found himself in. It is what we could call a fever dream, though he's not himself sick, his father's sick and healing. Last chapter, Moraine was able to heal him using some of the magic from her being an Aes Sedai. Well, this vision, this dream, there's kind of, it looks like three eras, three portions of it. The first one, Rand finds himself in the base of the Mountains of Mist, and there's a very, very tall mountain peak, and it's described as being a mountain taller than any he had ever seen, a mountain as black as the loss of all hope. And what he feels is that he has a memory of this mountain. There's something drawing him toward the mountain. And then a voice comes into his mind that he hears, and it's a voice that says, "Serve me." It repeats it again, "Serve me." Then Rand shouts at the mountain. He shook his fist at the black mountain. "The light consume you, Shaitan." I don't know what that means. I'm assuming that's important. Well, this drawing toward this mountain is just, it's just impressing upon his spirit. He throws himself away from it and falls over a cliff, but he abruptly sort of comes to when he finds out that he's not falling, in fact, and he is standing on winter brown grass flattened under his boots. So we've come to the second part of this dream. In the distance, there was a single mountain, its peak broken and split, but this mountain brought no fear or despair, not like the other mountain. It was just a mountain, though it did seem oddly out of place. The closer he gets, he actually sees a city in the midst of an island on a very large river. And he sees bridges and walls, and he knows within himself, beyond those bridges lay safety, sanctuary. Well, he feels this chill of being pursued again by that darkness, that fear. And he begins running toward the city to get away from this fear. But the closer he got, it seemed like the further the city was receding from him. He screams no as he's running. He trips and falls. And we come to part 3 of the story, where he's now inside the city. He is in one of these sort of sky bridges connecting these massive towers. And there's people smiling at him. They're speaking to him, though he doesn't understand the language. And he looks forward, and they're all motioning toward this very tall white tower. And he feels so peaceful being in the city, he decides that he'll go to this tower that everyone seems to be pointing him towards, but he would like to look around a little bit. Well, when he does, people's demeanor change. There's anger, there's sorrow, there's sadness, and he's afraid of that reaction. So he determines, okay, I'll do what everybody wants me to do. He begins walking towards the tower, and then music begins to play and dancing begins to play. He begins dancing with people in the city, and he knows the steps, though he doesn't remember why he knows the steps. He hears that voice again saying, "It is your destiny. It's your destiny." He gets to this tower. He mounts the stairs going into the tower. This is where he belonged, we read. But when he steps in, the portal door swung open. He walked in. They closed behind him with an echo crashing like thunder. And then a voice, a person, an individual, a creature. "We have been waiting for you," the murderer hissed. And Rand bolts up in his room. His father is still recovering. He's sitting before the fire just where he was left, and when he collapsed from exhaustion. There's a lot in that dream. There's a lot that I don't understand yet, but this murderer, "We have been waiting for you." It seems like whoever is creating this dream, there are memories that Rand has that he doesn't know how to place. And it seems like there are forces that are trying to push him to something, be it this tall white tower. What does this mountain peak have to do with originally? What is going on? I'm not sure yet. I'm looking forward to remembering. Please don't spoil it. I'm just kidding. If you wanted to put in the whatever, we'll have a discussion. I'm enjoying the read through though. But we come to sort of the second scene where Rand is back with his father. His father's woken up and they begin to have a conversation where he does sort of let him know, like, I have to leave. This is what happened. This is what Moraine said. His father supports him. He feels a little sad that his father supported him so quickly, but his father's realistic and says, you know what? You are going to be safer away from this place if all of these creatures are really here. So you need to go. And you know what? Once I get to feeling better, I may even track you down. And I may even go on this adventure with you. But I want you to be safe. So that's sort of his feel. Lan, the warder, pokes his head in and says, there may be trouble. Say your goodbyes quickly. And so he hugs his father. They say a few more words. Lan reaches in, drags Rand out of the room. And what is this trouble? Well, the villagers have gotten spikes and they've gotten torches and they've come to drive Moraine and Lan, her warder, out of Edmund's Field. They're shouting insults. They're shouting accusations at her. Well, the mayor comes out. Bran comes out and he tries to calm the situation down, but they're not relenting. And then we sort of get to the last stage of this chapter where Moraine, with her staff, she begins to spin the staff. Everyone sort of stops talking because she's a magical Aes Sedai. And a hissing white flame flared from each end of the staff, standing straight out like spear points despite the rods whirling. She snapped her arms down straight out before her, the staff parallel to the ground, but the pale fire still jetted out, brighter than the torches. And when she has all their attention, this sort of flame burning in front of them, she begins to tell the story of Edmund's Field. And she is challenging them, saying, is this what Aemon's blood has come to? Little people squabbling for the right to hide like rabbits. You have forgotten who you were, forgotten what you were. People challenge her, we're farmers, this is all we've ever been. She goes on to tell a lengthy story about this mighty king named Aemon and his bride, who we'll get to towards the end of the story. And they are fighting against the forces of the Dark One far away. They defeat the forces of the Dark One, but get word that he has changed and he's attacking King Aemon's homeland. And so his soldiers begin at an incredible pace to race back home to defend their land. And they hear words that others are going to be coming to help them. They just need to get there and hold the line for as long as they can. 3 days is what they've been told. Well, they make it and they begin to fight day after day after day until 3 days turns into 6 days, turns into 9 days. And King Aemon knows that there's no help coming. Well, they have a choice when they've driven back the Trollocs. For a brief moment, they could try to all run away. They make the decision, though, that they're going to stand and fight to give the villagers time to escape. But what they find is that the villagers don't leave. One by one, man and woman, they actually line up and begin fighting with the soldiers. They fight for everything that they were worth, and they defeat the Trollocs. Now, not before death has taken, and actually even King Aemon himself has died. Well, his wife is holding him in her arms, and she shouts and screams and taps in to the one power. Her name is Eldrine. She taps into the one power, and she hurls this magical force at the remaining Trollocs and their dreadlords, and they are consumed by the magic of the one power, the true source, and they flee. And Moraine's point is, this is the history of your people. They had magic, they stood for what they were, and they were willing to die. She ends the story. They held it when the long centuries had washed away the memory of their people. They held it until today, when there is you. Weep for them, weep for what is lost forever. She challenged them. She accused them of forgetting their history, of willfully forgetting their history. And when her story ends, she almost drops her magical staff as if it were 100 pounds. But her story has gotten through. Those that were on the fence of wanting to drive her out of town have been convicted, have been embarrassed, and one by one they begin to walk away. Well, Land is not missing any time here. He grabs Rand, he grabs Matt. Perrin's not there at this point, and he says, we're leaving now. We've got our window, we're getting out of here. He had no choice but to go, but he would come back to Edmund's Field, Rand tells himself, however far or long this journey was. He's afraid. Naturally, he'd be afraid. He's leaving everything he's known. There's monsters that are chasing him. There's magical powers that he doesn't understand. There's visions that he's experiencing that don't make sense to him, but they're frightening visions. We conclude chapter 9 trying to convince himself that he was beginning a grand adventure. Rand followed them through the darkened kitchen and out into the stable yard. The journey has begun. Chapter 9, Tellings of the Wheel. The story will continue on in the next chapter. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you're enjoying this read through. Maybe you're like me and have never read it before. Maybe you have read it and you're enjoying seeing my confusion. Would you like and subscribe to the channel? And we'll look forward to continuing the story in the next video. Thank you so much.